1999 Suburban K1500, 5.7 liter. We're going to replace the coil and ignition control module.
Just finger.
There, they just drove right out of there, so pull them the rest of the way out by hand or with pliers, whatever.
This.
When you're drilling this rivet out of this coil, it's going to be this side. This is an aluminum rivet. This is an iron coil. So once you've drilled an adequate amount out, you'll kind of see it break away and you'll feel it change. Really doesn't matter if you drill a little too far. This is your old coil anyway. But you'll notice the change as soon as you drill enough that you pop that head out. Then take a small chisel, drive it through. Once it's sticking out, you can grab it with a pair of pliers, wiggle and pull these rivets out. Got the new coil bolted on there. This is the ignition control module. Comes with a little thing of grease, a little thermal transfer grease. We're going to put just a tiny little bit on the bracket. There seemed to be some there originally, but the majority of it goes on the back of the new ignition control module. Smooth it around till it goes over the entire surface. Maybe take what's left on your finger and put it down here on the bracket. Screw that ignition control module on there and gently tighten those two bolts down. Alright, we're going to put it back together. I wasn't here for the taking apart, so we'll just give you the tips on putting it back together.
Picked a nice tool holder down here. I kind of like that.
So there's a top bracket that was held on by nuts.
Yep.
So we're putting that coil back in with two studs. So we'll get those two studs holding the coil down, then we'll slip the bracket over the top of it. So we got those two studs tightened, coil's being held pretty tight, so now we move that other bracket into place over the top of those two studs, and then there'll be a couple of nuts that go down over the studs and hold that bracket into place. We've got that bracket held down with two nuts over the top of those studs. We're ready to move this wiring harness back in place. Click that little clamp over that tubing over the wiring harness. And then plug in the ignition control module. Plug in the coil. Make sure they click there. There we go. And now we've got a coil wire. Alright, put some inlet air tube stuff back on, and that's basically it. Okay, obviously it ran pretty crappy when we first started it. What we figured out is that pulling this wiring harness off we popped the map sensor out of the manifold, so we had a huge vacuum leak. We'd noticed in some previous work that basically the gasket on that map sensor was in pretty crappy condition, and it didn't stick in the hole very well. Okay, so there's that map sensor, and that gasket there is in poor shape. Is there some little clips that kind of supposed to...
They're on it now.
Okay.
There might be something that's supposed to hold it down, but I don't know what.
Well, we're hoping for a little better result this time. Map sensor snapped into place. Oh yeah, much better result.